Welcome to physics class. Today we discuss about the topic friction. Before going to the topic friction, can you define what is force? We learn the concept of force. The force, it means push or pull of an object. It is called the force. In this slide, these are the example of the force. Push or pull of an object, it is called the force. Now today we discuss about the topic friction. What is friction? The friction is a force that opposes the motion. The opposes the motion between the any two surfaces. Any two surfaces that are called in contact. The friction force is a contact force, but it is opposes the motion. I will repeat once again. What is the friction? Friction is a force that opposes the motion between the any two surfaces that are in contact. Okay, I will show the example of friction. These are the example of the friction. In daily life we are doing so many activity. In this sense, the touching each other. You see, walking on the road. This is the one example. Second example, flying on the aeroplane, writing on a noteboard, writing on a blackboard. Okay, applying the brake when stopping a moving car. Okay, driving a vehicle on the surface. These are the example of the friction. We have to know the in daily activity. We have to see the so many example are there. Okay. Next we move on to the what are the types of the friction are there. Okay. There are the four types are there. There are the four types of the friction. One is static friction. Second one is sliding friction. Third one is rolling friction. Another one friction is there. That is fluid friction. Okay. Now we discuss about one by one. What is static friction? What is sliding friction? What is rolling friction? This is the static friction. The example of static friction. The ball on the table, the cup on the table. Now we have to know the concept. What is the static friction? Static friction is when the object at a rest on the surface of another object. Okay? The static means the object at rest in position. The object is rest in position. Okay, I will write. This is the one surface. This is the one surface, and there is a object is there. There is a object is there. This is the force direction. When applying the force, suppose it is a heavy box is there. When apply the force, the box is cannot move because there is the frictional force opposite in direction. The friction, this is the force of the direction. This is the frictional force. It is always opposite the force of the direction. Okay, this is the example. What are the example? The static friction. The paper on the table. The books on the table. The ball on the table. The cup of the table. The car marked on the wheel. These are the example of static friction. Next we move on to the topic what is sliding friction. These are the example of the sliding friction. This is the next. What is sliding friction? Sliding friction is a friction that occurs when solid surface slide over another. The solid surface sliding one another. This is the sliding friction. What is the example of sliding friction? Take your hand and rubbing both. Rubbing the both hand together to create the heat. Due to the friction, heat is generated. Okay, this is the one example. Second example, the child sliding down. The child sliding down through the slide in the park. This is the second example. And third example of the sliding friction is the coaster sliding against the table. The fourth one example is the block being a slide across the floor. These are the example. I hope understand this static friction. What is the static friction and example of the static friction, sliding friction and the example of the sliding friction. Next we move on to the third one is rolling friction. This is the feature, the rolling friction. Next, what is the rolling friction? The rolling friction is a friction that occurs between the surface in motion in which one of the surface of the wheel. The example of the rolling friction is the truck tire. The truck tire, the wheel is rolling, the car wheel is rolling, the bike is rolling, the ball bearing is rolling. You see in the trolley having the rolling friction, the heavy object moving easily, smoothly because of there is a ball bearing fixed in the picture. Okay. Next we move on to the concept of fluid friction. The fluid friction is against the fluid. Example of fluid friction, what? The water push against the swimming. When you are swimming, the body has the move on it. Okay. Next example, the movement of your coffee on you are stirred with a spoon. The movement of in your coffee as you stirred it within a spoon. Okay. And these are the example of sliding friction. Now we move on to the difference between the types of friction. I already told what is the types of friction: static, sliding, rolling and fluid friction. What are the difference between? The static friction is an object is rest. Is it right? Yes. The sliding friction is the surface slide over each other. The rolling friction, when an object is rolls over the surface. The fluid friction, when an object moves through a fluid. These are the difference between the types of friction. Next we move on to the different. I will already told the different types of friction: static, sliding, rolling, fluid. Okay. Now can you repeat once again? I will tell what is the force. The force is a push or pull of an object is called force. What is friction? The friction is a force that opposes the motion between any surface that are in contact. Okay. Next, what are the types of frictions? Sliding friction, static friction, rolling friction, fluid friction. There are the four types are there. Okay. I hope you are all understand this concept. I will come in the next class. I will come the next topic. Okay. If you are like this video, please subscribe, do like and share more videos your friends. Okay. Thank you one and all.